Recognition. Do you ever see somebody's shoe that you happen to know? You say, oh, that's somebody's shoe. You recognize the parts. Every part seems to have a hole to it. In other words, there's a measure which is called recognition. There's a measure called the foot, the inch, the pound, and there's a measure which is much more strong in your life, which is recognition. You recognize people. You recognize character. You recognize something that frightens you. You recognize qualities which cannot be measured except in this thing within your emotion.
If you take one particular spot, is it related to the whole, or is it just related to just that instant, that emotion?
I think you're confusing me with somebody else. I don't even think like that. You're asking a question that I never even thought of asking myself.
No,
I don't relate.
One of your paintings, don't you have 450 pounds of paint?
That's right. It was a large painting. I didn't mean that. I didn't want to waste that much paint. You think I meant it? All right, let me tell you something about an 18-foot painting, which is what you're talking about. Suppose you're working on a large painting, and there are no little people in it, no houses, and no mountains, and no land. That's what you're wondering about, right? How do I paint a picture without all these things that make a picture?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Right?
That's part of it.
Okay. So I'm telling you that I go and put some paint there. And at a certain moment, the paint is like I am buoyant. It says it has an expanding height. It has a kind of quality in which I feel I'm lifted. So I say, now I have to hold on to this feeling, right? So I walk around and say, have I got this feeling? And I put some paint and I say, no, I haven't quite got it. I put it here, I put it there. And then suddenly I hit it again, and that reinforces that feeling. And then it goes on. It's like a day spent with futility.
I think that's what I was trying to do.
Right? And then that grows, and then the months and days and pounds all grow at the same time until you really feel as if you can actually hang by the emotion of the applying a paint to, where it's missing, where it needs more, where it has to be taken away. And so you don't know why it should weigh 400 pounds or more. You just are doing what...
My question was really whether it was an incident, whether it was an emotional reaction from the instant that you put the paint on, or whether it covers through the whole painting.
The instant is kind of half failure, half success. It is as if you make always you take a step and then you take a little twist because you know you're doing the wrong step, so you twist a little bit to make it, to adjust to the step, right? So then you have to come back to it. And then you find that you're getting too subtle and they're too close and you really don't know whether you're stepping at all, so you have to make a terrible step. Then you know whether the other steps have done you. Okay.
You have a show on now?
Right now? No, not special, but there are paintings of mine around here and there. Why?
I haven't seen your work for several years, and I was wondering, has there been much change in your thinking?
The thinking, no. The look
application of thought.
Yeah, that changes all the time. And I think I'm changing right now.
If it was done in the last year, it would look much different when I saw some things of yours a few years ago. As a matter of,
you would know it's still.
School,
yeah, you would
period,
know. You would know it's still something.
Or a blue period idea.
No, it's just the paint gets. I'm hoping to get less heavy or something, less weight or
Not waste so much paint.
Not waste so much. But I did deliberately make it heavy And it grew heavy because at a certain moment I thought, why should I stop? Where's the end of this silly, crazy thing that I'm doing? How far do I have to go before it's so dense and so compact, nothing will escape? You understand? So I worked on a series of, I lived in the country about 100 miles from New York, and I had a house there, and I had a studio, and I used to go there day after day for a year on 6 paintings, which each weighed quite a lot. I forget how much they weighed, but it takes 2 men to carry them, but they're about the size of a door, a little bit wider, and I said, I'm not going to stop until there's no more getting in between somehow, you know what I mean? And yet stay open. Because it doesn't mean that you just make a globe. It means that you open and you open and you stay open and you stay open until it stays open. So I worked a year on these 6. Now, I went through all kinds of emotions and feelings and despairs and whatnot, but I stuck to it. Then, at about the same time that I was somehow getting to where I felt there's no more, there's just no more, there was a shack on this property, which was full of a lot of clutter that I had when I bought the house, and it was an eyesore, and I had somehow over the years, a couple of years, kind of cleared out stones and built this and built that. And I said, and one day there was a guy with not a bulldozer, backhoe. And he was working nearby. I said, hey, would you take my shack off and get rid of it for me? He said, sure, easy. So he came to do it. And I thought I'd poke inside and find out if there was anything there worth saving, you know. And I really didn't care, but there was a gravestone in it, and on it was the name Edna. So I pulled it out. It was an old gravestone, and I saved it. I don't know why, but I had it leaning against a tree, and workmen would come along, and I had by about the same place there, you know, old houses, 200-year-old houses. They used to dump things. They'd always find a place where they always throw bottles and things. So everybody liked to look for bottles, you know. Everybody hunts for old bottles. So workmen used to go out there to dig around during lunchtime, pick up a few bottles. And one workman said to me, who's buried there? And I said, I don't know, nobody, it's just a stone. And by this time I used to walk with my dog past the stone, and I say, who are you, Edna? I had this way of talking to my dog or to the stone or anybody, a tree. I used to talk to somebody, I didn't know who else. And the workman said, what are you going to do with this? I don't know, but every time I walk past, I keep saying, who are you? I'm getting irritated. So you want it? He said, yes. I said, take it away. So he took it away, and one day I was working on my painting, and I had the same feeling saying, who are you? And I said, you're Edna. So I called it Edna. And it was as if I had found out who was buried there in that picture. Somebody, something, some emotion, some quality. But it was no longer breathing. It was no longer alive. It was done with. And then I felt I could come back to the living. So I feel I'm coming back to the living. It's hard to come back to the living.